She had this little apartment, inexpensive apartment. And so through our church network, she just started meeting ladies. And I would see Jane, she's, Andy, I want you to meet so-and-so. She's in my group. Andy, I want you to meet so-and-so. She's in my group. 3 or 4 weeks later, Andy, this is so-and-so. She's in my group. And Jane started telling me about her group. They would meet every week, and they would rotate different ladies in and out. And it was all about overcoming sexual abuse and views of men and just all those things that women sometimes are forced to deal with. And she'd say, Andy, I want you to come sometime. I'm like, I gave you your chips. I'm not coming to your men hater, meeting, okay? I love you, Jane, but me and 12 hurting women, I don't know. It just seems weird that I'm the only guy there. No, and what she wanted, she was just so proud of what God had done, So she called me one night or day, and she said, look, okay, here's the deal. Next week, I'm having my group, and I'm having the girls invite their boyfriends and their husbands, because I'm going to talk to the men about how to love a woman who's been sexually abused. I'm like, do you even, what? Uneducated, I'm like, she said, so there's going to be some other men there, so I want you and Sandra to come. I said, all right, we'll come. So we climb up those metal stairs to her apartment and get in there and meet people, and she starts. We're sitting on the couch, and she's got a circle, and there are only 3 guys there and about 8 ladies. And I sat there for 3 hours with Sandra, and we just watched Jane hold court. It was amazing. She had her Bible back and forth and back and forth, and one lady was going to tell her whole story, and and we never said anything. And it was over. We got out as fast as we could when the meeting ended, and I'm not exaggerating. Sandra will tell you. We walked down those metal stairs. We didn't say a word to each other. We got in our car, and we both burst out crying. Not teary-eyed, not weeping, and my wife is not a big crier, and of course, I can get weepy over anything, but we were honestly, I remember we were sobbing. And part of it was just the emotion of what we had heard in that room that night. But a lot of it was watching Jane. A few months later, it all runs together. She called me giggling. I said, what's up? She said, well, remember how you used to tell me one day I was going to have to go back to Hattiesburg? I said, yep. She said, I need to go back. She goes, I ran away. I got to go back and make things right with some people, especially with my mama. I said, all right. So we had a little party for Jane and sold her car that we never were sure. She had a car, but you still had to pick her up because it didn't work half the time. Packed her up and sent her to Hattiesburg. She re-engaged with what she had run away from many, 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 many years before. And she'd come back and visit. She'd sit on the front row. She'd come to all 3 services, sing all the songs, hang around, be the last one to leave. Hated to leave this church. She loved this church. And she loved the people in this church, but she had to go back. And every time I'd publish a book, I'd send her cases of books. She'd just give them all out, and so this went on and on and on. She had a lot of health problems because she'd so abused her body and been on the street for so many years, lots of health problems. Finally, she called me one day and she said, Andy, I have cancer. She said, it's not good. So we talked, and I'd call her and we'd talk, and she made one last trip here. And about 3 years ago, Jane died. Now, she had a brother named Buddy, and I would talk to Buddy during Jane's illness just to know what was going on. And after the funeral, he called me. He said, Andy, Jane didn't have anything, but she had a little bit. She got a job when she went back to Hattiesburg. He said, and she wanted to leave the church something. So once we finish paying all the bills, there won't be much left, but we want to send the church something. She wanted us to leave everything she had left over to the church. The church meant so much to her. So a few weeks later, I get a check in the mail for $6,000 from Jane to our church. Now, I've gotten bigger checks, but I've never gotten a more precious check than that, because it represented a whole life that had been redeemed. And it represented to me a 20-something-year-old miracle. It represented to me, it was a reminder to me that as overwhelmed as I get with all the things I can't do anything about, just like you're overwhelmed with things you can't do anything about, that my responsibility isn't to change the world. My responsibility It's to go deep and to go long and to go time and to go money. And to always be on the lookout for the one, even though I can't do something for everyone. And to be on the lookout for the one and listen to that still small voice, pay attention to that nudge that Andy, Sandra, family, that's your one. That's your one. I want you to do for the one what you wish you could do for everyone. So this year, I want you to pay attention. This year, I don't want you to be overwhelmed. This year, I don't want you to go into a hole and hide. This year, I don't want you to just give $10 to everything that comes and goes, okay, and feel good about it. This year, I want you to pay attention and look for the one. Because somewhere along the way, some of you already know who it is. Some of you are already engaged. For some of you, it's adoption. For some of you, it's fostering. For some of you, it's a small group. For some of you, it's calling that couple that's going through that terrible thing and you're thinking, okay, I think about them all the time. I pray for them all the time, but I've never invited them to our home because I'm not a marriage counselor. We're not marriage counselors, but they need somebody in their corner, and we're going to get in their corner, and we're going to stay in their corner with them till they run us off because we're going to go deep. We're going to go long. We're going to go time. We're going to go money. We're going to do for one what we wish we could do for everyone. And here's what I think. If everybody did that, it might change the whole world. If everybody did for one what we wish we could do for everyone, it could change the world. But here's what I know for sure. If you do for one what you wish you could do for everyone, it will certainly change somebody's world. And if your experience is anything like mine has been, it'll change your world as well. So we can't run and hide, and we can't be overwhelmed, and we can't grow weary in doing good. We have a margin of time, we have the opportunity, and as God nudges you this year, I hope you'll do for someone what you wish in your heart you could do for everyone.